We have an unexpected wild FAAB period. We have the Yankees having a huge win tonight. We got a lot to talk about in baseball. All coming up next on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Stick around. Happy Sunday night, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you could please rate and review the podcast wherever you happen to listen to us or watch us, that would be fantastic. If you hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube, that would be great. Also, if everybody watching live, hello, and everybody listening tomorrow morning, hello to you. Also, Jeff, it's September and we got baseball going on. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a pretty honest guy with you most of the time. I kind of felt it this week. I felt like these moves are important. I started to feel the pressure for the first time all season long. This Sunday felt a little bit different than the rest of them for some reason.
Yeah, I felt it earlier. I feel like, I felt it the last couple of weeks, but yeah, this week I definitely felt like after not getting my top targets, I felt that regret, and I felt regret that I didn't have more money in FAAB remaining. So we couldn't go after the big names. Big names aren't always a guarantee of that everything, but right. Yeah, same time it was. Yeah, I felt that a little bit there. And I'm feeling the pinch now on time. Things are happening. Kids are back in school.
Yeah,
there's.
And you work in this world obviously way more than I do. Like, you have football going on constantly. Like, that's a big thing right there. Like, that you have a lot of time commitment to that. Like, I'm setting lineups and I do one show with you guys a week on Friday mornings, but like you're full time doing football. That's gotta be tough with family and stuff. Like, you have a lot of stuff going on. September's gotta be wild for you.
It is. And I've been in Vegas the last 2 weekends. Don't cry for me. I have a great job.
Doesn't sound too rough.
I did the NFFC yesterday, primetime, and nice. I always know that Saturday it's like you go to the sports book and it's just all college football. There's not even a single baseball game on. And drive home. Was I listening to baseball? No. Yes, some, but I was also listening to Ohio State and Notre Dame. I have two TVs on. One of them's on this wild ending to LSU, FSU.
Is Florida State really about to blow this, by the way?
They're debating whether there's a second left on the clock or not. And if there is, like, LSU gets a play from their 2-yard line. So
this game looked over 10 minutes ago too.
Well, it was so many improbable things. We won't go into it, but there was a muffed punt and then a fumble at the goal line by FSU. And basically where on this crazy pitch play where they just don't do that. Don't put yourself in harm's way.
I don't have a lot of college football strong feeling. I'm obviously a Stanford fan, but, I'm all for rooting against Brian Kelly at all points possible.
Yeah.
Cannot stand that dude.
I'm not a big partisan of FSU either, though, but it's weird to think of them as the plucky underdogs in this one.
Right.
But then again, we're going to call it a neutral game, even though it's the SEC showcase game. It seems like
I was assuming nobody thought this was going to be two unranked teams when they set this game 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But let's get into baseball. We got a lot to talk about. I want to talk about strategy a little bit first. September is a different animal in baseball. It's not quite the week 18 in the NFL where everybody sits, but we're going to have a lot of we saw it already starting this week. We had a lot of injuries. When we get to news and notes, there are a lot of big names that are either banged up or missing time this weekend. Got a lot of pitchers that are leaving games early. They're not pushing guys as much. I think we're going to see that a lot more the last couple of weeks. I think the short spring training is going to rear its ugly head come up here in the next few weeks. I think the last couple of weeks are going to be really difficult to kind of manage and figure out, especially on starting pitching, who you can throw out there.
Oh yeah, it's really hard. You're going to get late scratches. Yep. You're going to find there's going to be guys available in the pool, and you're not even going to know who they are. I mean, I do this for a freaking living, and there's guys like I've never heard of this guy. I've never heard of this guy. Then I better do a projection for him though. And it's going to be a lot of that. And yes, it's thin, but it's thick at the same time. There's a bunch of names.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it's crazy. For questions out there, we'll hit up some of these questions in a second. I'm just acknowledging I see your question there, Jordan. We'll get you in a sec there, but it's really difficult. It's really hard. It's really hard to stay on top of that there, and finding out when they're going to scratch somebody. And they're going to manage workloads. I mean, especially
the managed workload is tough because all of a sudden Guy comes out after 3 innings. You're like, what the heck just happened? And there you go. Wins are gold right now. Wins are so clumped up in every league. Like you look at other categories and maybe you have a little bit of a buffer, but wins is a tough one. There's just so few of them. It's just hard to get them. And and your guy leaves after 3 and you didn't know it was coming. That's really tough right there. But
who was it that left after 3 last week? It was perfect too, or something like that. And we thought, he's hurt. And they just said it was managing workload.
I forget. It was a big name too.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't Scherzer, was it? No.
Scherzer left early, but it was.
Yeah, that was a fatigue in his left side.
That was a legit thing.
Yeah,
it was a young.
Point is, there's guys you don't expect they're going to throw 60 pitches and come out. I think drops are really important right now too. I think you have to be very, very you got to be able to drop almost anybody at this point. Like I had Tyler Mallie today, went back on the IL, like that was an automatic drop. I mean, best case scenario. It's probably not going to come back in 2 weeks, but best case he does. Maybe you get 2 workable starts and maybe the first one's, short and he's not going to go deep. And you can't hold on to someone from maybe a last week of September start because they're probably not going to start anyway. And if they do, you can pick somebody else up at that point. I think you got to be really, with drops, you got to be willing to cut guys you wouldn't be able to cut in July or say.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Even hitters like Jorge Polanco. I think he's in drop land. I think Jeff Zimmerman was tweeting about that too. You can always pick them back up, but you need that spot. You need the spot. Yeah,
and you look something like the NFBC where you have 7 bench spots, and you want to be able to react to guys who maybe don't play for the weekend or maybe get banged up. I want 3 or 4 active bats on my bench every week from now on, for as much as I can. Some injuries here and there, but for the most part, someone's on the IL. Unless it's a big name, I know they're coming back quick. I want all those bats on my bench to be active and be able to put them in because I know I'm going to have to use guys the second half of the week.
Yeah. LSU just scored a touchdown, extra point pending with time running out, by the way.
Go for 2.
Real man goes for 2.
Yeah. So I think the key thing is categories. Like make sure you know exactly what you need. I've got a couple leagues where I can't move up or down in saves, and there's it's a good idea to maybe use 8 starters. Maybe get some Ks. You maybe if you have a stud reliever, you want to throw him in there. Maybe he gets good ratios for you, get some Ks. Maybe sneaks a win. But for the most part, like going 8-1, going 9-0, going 5-4, if you can't move up and wins is a spot that I think it's really important. I have an online championship where I don't have any good closers, but I threw 4 of them out there this week because I'm leading in wins. I'm way up there in Ks and I'm way back in saves. I got 7 saves this week from a bunch of names, but it's huge.
You got 7 saves?
I had Nick Martinez, I think had 2, and there's someone else I had that had 3. That was
gross. In online Maine, we've got 93 wins. Next place is 80. So I'm going, and so obviously we got to max our saves. But even if we can only gain that 1 point in the league, you do it. Oh my gosh. Extra point blocked.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. I told you to go for 2.
Oh man. That's Brian Kelly. That's just too bad.
Our mutual friend, Mike Quackenbush, is blowing up my phone right now. He's a Florida State attender. He went to school there. So he's very excited.
Attender or graduate?
He attended and then he transferred. He graduated from Florida Gulf Coast.
I noticed the attendant. That was a very.
He actually went to Florida State to play baseball. He was behind JD Drew, like a couple of steps behind him in right field, and he hurt his arm and he went to Florida Gulf Coast, which then became Lob City a few years later.
Yeah, it did. That did. So, Isn't that it was at FIU or Gulf Coast where Sale went?
Gulf Coast was Chris Sale.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so I knew something.
Very good. That was pretty good knowledge right there. But yeah, so that strategy. Baseball is wild today. The Yankees Rays game. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it.
Oh, I was watching that very closely.
I have Montas. You have Clay Holmes, and Montas pitched great, but the pitch count was high, so he came after 5, 7 strikeouts, 1 hit. Then they got through the 6th, the 7th, the 8th. I was sure they're gonna blow in the middle. I'm like, oh, here comes Clay Holmes. We can get this going. He gives up a run, puts 2 more guys on, strikes out Yandy Diaz, and that would have been a sweep for the Rays.
Strikes out.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, it would have been a 3-game lead for the Yankees after this whole thing. It would have been. You talk about the vice being tightened on the Yankees. The press would have been nuts if they got swept in that series, especially blowing a lead in the 9th inning. 5 is not that much different than 3, but it feels like it kind of is because 3-game lead would have been just brutal.
Yeah, especially when they had such a prohibitive lead on not just the AL East, but the league. The Astros have long passed them, but they were just a hegemon. It was like, we're talking about them among them all-time teams for a while there, and they've just forgotten how to hit. So their runs this week in Tampa Bay were Judge Homer, Judge Double, advancing on a couple of outs.
So I can do that better. I should attribute this to someone, but last on the road trip, 9 games, Aaron Judge hit 333 with 10 RBIs and 5 home runs. The rest of the team hit 141 with 3 home runs over 8 games.
Were they all on my main event team? Because
37 for 262 is an insane time for 8 other guys in the lineup to all slump at the exact same time. DJ LeMahieu looks completely lost. Donaldson is like talking crap to pitchers when he's hitting 212. Like, shut up. Like, what are you doing? It's just, they just look lost. And I don't get why. They act like Isaiah Kiner Fredeffel is like Derek Jeter and he's been there for 15 years. They have loyalty to him. The fact they keep running him out there, I mean, he can't hit. He has 1 home run all year, and now he's making errors. Like, you called up Peraza, just let the dude play. Nobody else is hitting. The vets aren't hitting. Let the young guys play.
I know. This is not a tenure job. This is not a city of Los Angeles job. You gotta do that. And my wife works at the city of Los Angeles, so why I make that joke.
And it's not even someone who's been there forever. Like, I get it if you have some loyalty, and it's like someone you've been playing there forever. But like, the guy's been there for 4.5 months. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Sorry, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy how they all seem to forgot how they. I'll say this: power is down in baseball. We had like the lowest slugging August in ages. Joe Sheehan was
every time I look up, every game is 2-1 in like the 6th inning. And this morning I flipped on games. Every game, I was like, "What is going on?" It's crazy. It's hard. And I can't look at my offensive stats and they're bad. And I'm like, I realize that maybe they must be bad for everybody.
It sucks so bad to watch your guys struggle to hit. Especially when you have a good team, and all of a sudden, like, I'm hating this week because the Braves have 5 games, and I've got Dansby, Harris, and Olsen.
At least 2 of those against the A's, which counts as 3 games.
Yes, still, but it's just like, I'm probably going to still roll with them though. I mean, we're going to have that conversation. I mean, I'm not benching Olsen. I'm not going. Nope. Yeah, I don't anticipate it, especially because I didn't get the big names. I mean, I get to dick around with like Eloy again. Do I get to start Eloy or not? Yay.
How much did that home run on Saturday piss you off?
Oh,
it's the worst.
Well, especially because he outproduced my starting lineup.
Yeah. You're like, you didn't play Friday. I'm being smart. I got to figure this out. And he homers. You're just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Jake McCarthy, though, Jeff, 11 RBIs this week. Is that an absurd number right there?
Diamondbacks are like this force now of they are just unsettling teams. They'll either get blown the heck out, or
Arizona and Baltimore would suddenly have like fun offenses for fantasy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. And Arizona's got 2 good starting pitchers too.
One of them is 2 shutouts away from matching a record that I thought was unreachable. Zach Gallen has 41 1/3 straight scoreless innings, and it finally got to start talking about it a little bit on Twitter. And I saw it on MLB Tonight today, but like, I think before his next start, the next 4 to 5 days, is going to become a big story. Like, that is an insane run.
It is. And because he was not so great earlier this season, and then all of a sudden he just figured it all out. And
he was good. And then he kind of slowed down, and all of a sudden he's not even getting close to getting runs. I mean, he just mowed through the Brewers today. It wasn't even close.
Coors Field on Sunday though.
Oh, that's friggin' unbelievable. What are the odds?
And then the Padres after that. So in Arizona, not in Petco.
So you're saying he's gonna have to earn the record?
Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
That is fun. You know what else is fun is Braves Mets. Braves Mets is getting great. It's a 1.5 lead, I think. After the Mets lost the Nationals today, the Braves are playing.
It's a game. It's one game now. Yeah, because
that's
the Braves finished much later after the rain delay.
That's right. When I was doing our notes, it was 1.5. But the Mets lost today, and the Braves started playing Edwin Diaz's music over the loudspeaker in their stadium. It's just there's a lot of back and forth between these two teams. It's gonna be a really fun last 4.5 weeks between these two.
No, but I think I want to say isn't that William Contreras was using?
Yeah, he uses it for his walk-up music. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And then Mets fans were getting mad at that as if they Diaz has been using that for years upon years. But
University of Alabama used it for their intro. Did
they really?
Too, yeah. And they tweeted to Edwin Diaz asking if he liked it. So, and then he gave back a Roll Tide. It was actually kind of funny, but
okay, well, good.
It seemed like a good, a fun interchange there. But
I love that Timmy Trumpets actually went up for the Dodgers Mets series.
It was unbelievable. The whole thing was awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, Dodgers Mets was a really good series.
That was a great series. And then the Mets won 2 out of 3, and then the Dodgers got beat on Friday. We're like, it's 3 out of 4, and then they just pounded the Padres over the weekend, and they just they own the Padres. It's gonna be tough to be a Padres fan to know every time you're playing the Dodgers, they're just gonna spank you.
You know what though? Little brother eventually wins. They get bigger. Look at the Red Sox Yankees. I mean, it feels that much better when you overcome it.
That took 86 years though.
And okay, good point.
I agree at some point. I mean, the Padres are certainly going for it. I respect that, but they seem like they just freeze a little when they play the Dodgers. The Dodgers are just really good too, which makes a huge difference. But yeah, I still can't believe Juan Soto robbed Mookie of that home run. I'm still a little upset about that.
A little bitter.
That would have been a nice way to cap off the week. But let's jump into to week 23. We got a lot of games on the schedule this week. We have two teams with 8 games. We have the Brewers and the Giants with 8 games. Not only that, the Brewers have 3 games in Coors Field this week. That is a spicy schedule if you have any Brewers hitters. I actually tried to pick some up this week. It's a good week for Brewers.
Yeah, I know a lot of testing heroes going out there. A lot of pickups in a lot of places. I've got the problem is Yelich is hurt. And he was just starting to click. He had like there was a graph. There was a note earlier in the week when they were facing the Pirates that his exit velocities. He had like all these like 98, 103, 100. It was like 2019 Yelich in terms of exit velocities. And you're like, yeah, he's finally starting to click. We asked the question, who won Yelly Belly, and it's Yelly.
It's Yelly by a good amount. I mean, but Belly's rough, man. What's he hitting? 202 now. I think he has 17 home runs, 11 steals. I'm not looking it up right now, but I think I dropped him in an online championship because he's hitting 9th and he's sitting a bunch. It's hard to ever use him.
Yeah. I have him in the main and the Vegas main. And yeah, the problem is Vegas main, you have to use him.
You find yourself using him most weeks probably, right?
Yeah.
And he's got 17-11, so it's probably like fantasy value has worked out not horrendously, but it's just I don't know. It's hard to watch his at bats too. They're ugly. It's not good.
A lot of strikeouts when he's lost. Yep.
Yeah. We got a handful of teams with 7 games: Baltimore, the White Sox, the Yankees, Minnesota, Toronto, Washington, and St. Louis. Some good schedules in there too. 5 games you already mentioned. You spoiled that one. The Braves have 5 this week. They're off on Monday and Thursday. So if you play in a league where you got NFBC type thing where you can sit guys on Friday, Braves, unless you have like the Dansby and Olsen guys, and Michael Harris II, by the way, goes in that group because that dude is unbelievably good. Unless you have some fringy guys, you probably want to bench them for people with 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, for sure.
Did Marcell Ozuna really homer today, by the way?
He did. He's playing more lately.
It's weird. He played that first game, then he sat for like 10 days, and now he played 2 in a row. I don't know what they're doing.
And Grossman's starting to sit again.
I dropped Ozuna, and I didn't look to pick him back up this week. I don't know if that's going to be there. He hasn't been good anyway, so
right.
I guess he could get on a heater, but I don't know. He'll have to be on somebody else's team, and I'm probably okay with that.
Yeah. I think we held on to him in one league and dropped him in the other. I think we had him in both mains actually, which is sad. But it shows that even good teams can have bad players. No, I've since dropped him in both actually. I think it must have him in Scarf or something.
I held him that first week, and I dropped him the second week after he was not playing at all. So I don't know. Let's look at some good offensive schedule. We mentioned the Brewers, 3 at Colorado, 2 against the Giants, 3 against Cincinnati. That's a really, really nice set of matchups there. St. Louis has a really good setup too. They're 4 against Washington, 3 against Pittsburgh. Albert Pujols homered again today. I don't know why anybody would pitch to him with a lefty. I don't know what they're doing, but I just want him to pass A-Rod. I think that's the sentiment among everybody probably. I
want him to get to 700, and I like it because I had Michaelis going, so it was nice to get the win because of that too, because he only went 8. He got it in the 8th inning. I agree though. Why would you have a lefty face him? I mean, I guess a lefty came in and then he pinch hit, and Pujols went deep. But that was the only offense they generated. But I have to say, with looking at the Cardinals schedule, I wish I had 2 starts out of either Wainwright or Michaelis this week, and I've got both in online main. So, selfishly, like let's make this one the 2-start week.
Yeah, I hear you there. It's the wild thing about Pujols is, and I saw this stat, his WRC plus is 144, which is lower than any of his seasons with the Cardinals, but higher than any season he's ever had with anybody else.
That's wild.
Is that wild. A crazy stat? Like shows how unbelievably good he was, and now how good he is right now, but shows how much he was not that great with those other teams. It's he was still pretty good those first few years with the Angels, but Pretty wild that it's less than every Cardinals year and more than every Angels and Dodgers year.
That is pretty crazy. Going back to the Cardinals pitching staff for a sec, Flaherty comes back tomorrow.
Yeah, 2-star week this week.
Yeah, gets the Nats and the Pirates, and then so does Quintana is the other lucky winner in the schedule lottery. So we'll see how deep Flaherty goes in his first start back.
I would throw him for sure if I had him.
100%.
I think he threw,
because by the time the second start comes around, you're getting your 5.
I think he threw like 5 in those last couple of rehab starts. I think he's good to go for probably 75, 80 pitches. I think he's against those two teams. That's probably 6-7 innings right there.
Could be.
Other good offensive schedules. Philly is nice. They have 3 against Miami, 3 against Washington. They missed Sandy Alcantara, so that's a nice bonus there. Houston, 3 against Texas, 3 against the Angels. No pitchers there you're really worried about. Do they face Ohtani? I'd have to look. That would be the only one. They do face Ohtani, so one pitcher you're a little bit worried about, but the other 5, pretty good there. Toronto, really nice too. 4 at Baltimore, although Baltimore pitches pretty well at home. 3 at Texas, but for a 7-game week, that's a pretty nice one too. And Toronto seems they kind of went in a lull, and now they're like they're kind of 6.5 behind the Yankees or something like that. They're kind of in that mix also.
Pittsburgh cures ills. They had a 4-game sweep of the Pirates, right?
It really does. They are not good. Baltimore, we talked about them. We're talking about Toronto. They have a good week too. They're 4 against Toronto, 3 against Boston. Some pitching staffs you want there. So if you have Orioles hitters, it's a good spot too. If you picked up Gunnar Henderson or something like that, as we talk about some FAAB coming up here, good week to unleash your Orioles.
Did you? Let's just get right into it. Did you gun for Gunnar? Did you get him?
Well, let's get right into it. But first, a quick note from our sponsors, the Blue Wire Network. We'll tease that. So, Jeff, let's get into FAAB. It was we don't usually have weeks that are this fun. And like I sent you the spreadsheet, and I had a bunch, or the outline had a bunch of names on there. As I kept going through, I was like, oh, that's an interesting name. And usually this late in the year, it's hard to find guys. But let's start with hitters. That's where all the real excitement was. Since we just mentioned Gunnar Henderson, we're talking about him. He got called up by the Orioles, homered in his first at bat. Helmet fell off. Everybody was enjoying it. And Connor Corbin, he was. We talked about him last week a little bit, but he was not available in NFBC League, so he was available this week. So those were the 2. Corbin Carroll. I just called him Connor Corbin. Corbin Carroll. I keep messing that up. I don't even know who Connor Corbin is, but he's a.
You did that in the outline, I think. I
did. I don't know.
I typed it before I printed it out. I changed it so I wouldn't get it in my head.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing in my bids I didn't bid and look for someone named Connor Corbin. Corbin Carroll. I know. I must know someone named Connor Corbin. I don't know what it is, but Corbin Carroll called up by the Diamondbacks last weekend, but he wasn't available. Gunnar Henderson called by the Orioles this week. How did you kind of feel about those 2 guys? I know you were kind of low in FAAB. Were you able to try and get either one? Did you have either one as a priority? How'd you kind of feel about those 2 guys?
I think they're the 2 best players available.
Yeah.
I'll go for it. I went for it and didn't get them, and I got one sneaky share of Carroll. I did not get any Henderson. I'm trying to remember where did I get Corbin Carroll, but and I was taking my time to figure out. It was an online. Onlines are weird. I won 20-3. Right. Not sure why, but hey.
Onlines. I mean, I think that's you sit a spot there if you're not in contention. A lot of people do kind of fade out of those, but
yeah.
So in the main event, my online main event that has been doing pretty well, I had $122 left, and I need offense. So I kind of figured, I looked at it and I was like, if I don't get these 2 guys, what am I going to do with $110 the rest of the way? So I went pretty far all in on Carroll. As I was looking at them both, I just needed outfielder a lot more than I needed a middle infielder. I think I like Henderson a little more because I think the playing time will definitely be. I think Carroll's going to sit some games now and then. They've said he's going to play a lot, but not every day. He's just played a lot already this year. But I really need outfielder. Like if I got a middle infielder, I was kind of benching someone that I really like, and it didn't make a lot of sense as far as an upgrade. Sure. But outfield, I'm starting some guys where I don't really love them, and I really need an outfielder badly. I won him 73-52, so a pretty good bid. But going all in pretty much at this point, 73 is a really big bid at this point. So hopefully it works out because it's definitely my going for it moment here. So I'm hoping he's as good as he looked the first week.
Yeah, absolutely. If position aside, did you have a preference between the 2?
I did. I had him pretty close. Maybe Henderson a touch just because I think he's going to play every single day, where I think Carroll's going to get some days off. But yeah, I mean, I was just sitting somebody I didn't really want to sit, and I looked at it closely, and I really need outfield. I need power. I kind of looked at them. They're both power, both speed. So I really liked both players. They're both fun. Corbin Carroll's insanely fast. He had a first to home the other day that was like 31 31, whatever it is, feet per second.
Yes, I saw the same thing, the sprint speed. Yeah, the feet per second. Yeah.
That guy ball down left field corner. He scored E. It was crazy. So it's just I was pretty on it. I had to get one of them. So I decided to go for the outfielder. There was kind of no point for me to. I know now I have $28 left, so it's a little bit low with 4 weeks left. But having $100 left, I think was too much at that point after these two guys were gone. So I went for it. Hopefully it works out, but we'll see. It's a pretty big move, and I need him to be good.
Yeah, well, you should. I thought that makes all the sense in the world. One of my mains, Carroll, went for 19. The runner-up bid at 12. Wow. We actually bid 11 because we had 20 left, I think.
Did you guys just have not a lot of people with money left?
Yeah, that one was it's been a very active league, but oh my God, there's still like 25 players picked up in said league. It's just a lot of cheap ones.
Yeah, because in my online main, I had $122, and there were three or four people that had more money than me.
Yeah.
So I knew if they wanted to get him, I was just dead anyway. But then in my Vegas main, he went for like $24 because nobody has money left. It's just weird how it's just the way it's worked out.
Well, the hot air league, people are active. I mean,
they are very active. Henderson in that league went for 45 in the main, and Carroll went for 23. In my online main, I got Carroll at 73, and Henderson went for 52. Josh Hader went for 55. Loriano for 39. Like there were a lot of big bids because people had money left, and you got to spend it, so might as well go ahead and do it. But it was an interesting week. Hopefully it works out. I'm hoping that both Carroll and Jake McCarthy can tend to play at the same time because we got both of them now.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be nice if that worked out for you. And it's just Arizona's surging. I mean, they're sneakily a fun team to watch. Except it's just that stadium is so like just small park.
It's not great.
And I speak effusively about some broadcasting teams, not that one.
Fair enough. Our friend Rob DiPietro asked me, he saw that I picked up Nick Ladoe online. How was he available? He was available because I dropped him last week. I am strictly going for strikeouts. So I dropped him for a 2-step and then picked him back up. So I had a ton of money in that league. I picked up Dustin May, kind of grabbed everybody, but I knew I could get him back. And I need strikeouts. I have a ton of saves. So I've just been picking up 2 steps and kind of cycling through people. So
nice.
I was actually the one that dropped him and picked him back up, but it didn't work out because Ladoe pitched great today. Although the Reds bullpen blew the win, but other big names call up on offense. Jeff, we've got Tristan Casas, who is not available in NFBC leagues unless he was drafted and dropped. He got called up today. Oswald Perez in New York. We kind of talked about that a little bit. The playing time is the biggest issue there, but obviously, really interesting. He was a power speed guy that's been really good in the minors. Did you go after Peraza at all?
Yeah, he was on our list. I kind of question if he's going to play every day. But
he should be, and I don't know why he's not, but I think that's the big problem.
Yeah.
Do you like Casas at all? I know he wasn't available for us in NFBC leagues, but obviously other leagues, home leagues, other kind of leagues. Were you? How do you kind of feel about him as a prospect coming up? They sent Dahlbeck down for him.
Yeah, I like him. And Dahlbeck. What a disaster he's been.
Yeah, that like last 6 weeks of last year, like maybe he figured out did not turn out to be workable.
No, it didn't, unfortunately. And they even put him at shortstop a little bit here to try that, but it's kind of crazy. I like Casas, and it looks like they're shutting down Hosmer. Yeah. Why
they said Casas is going to pretty much play every day. They moved Christian Arroyo back to a utility guy. They actually announced that was going to happen. So it seems like they're going to let him play for a month and see what they got.
Yeah. They should. I mean, that's the one thing that they can do.
I imagine the bids will be strictly based on how he looks this week. But if he plays well this week, the bids will be anybody who has money left is probably going to unload it on him next weekend.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Any thoughts on the guys called up by Colorado this week? Michael Toglia and Sean. I'm going to go with Bouchard. Either of those guys. Toglia's looks like he started every day. The Rockies are home all week, which kind of upped my interest in both guys, and you can get a full week of cores. You don't either guys. Toglia has 31 home runs already this year.
I put a bid in on him, but didn't get him.
Yeah, I did too. There's a lot of swing and miss in his bat. He's like a 30% strikeout guy in the minors, but Coors Field get hot for a month. That could be some pop for sure.
Yeah, I was like, well, there's Coors Series this week, so
yeah, they're home all week, and Bouchard was also interesting. I like Toglia a little more when I looked at him, but Bouchard has 20 home runs, 12 stolen bases, hitting 300 in AAA. I know their AAA is a launching pad, but he strikes out a little bit less. Anytime you get a Coors guy that gets hot, it's definitely someone that should be on your list.
Right. Anybody could be a Meneses for a month.
Hey, let's hope Meneses for 2 months.
Yeah, that would be useful. He pulls a Schwindel.
So I'm good with that. And he hit a walk-off homer against the A's this week, and I was fine with that too.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I don't even know who the A's brought in. They didn't bring in Puck or Acevedo. They brought in someone else, and Meneses just jacked one off him to right center. It was a beautiful moment. It kind of kickstarted the week nicely.
Yep.
Keston Hiura available in 50%, or he was taken at 50% in the main event, coming in a little bit less in the 12-teamers. Seems to be playing more. I know we have so many strikeouts. This guy's strikeout rate is still 41.5%, but playing more. He's got 14 home runs already. Hard hit rate's 46%. Barrel rate's over 17%. A lot of swing and miss, but he does make contact. The ball really does travel.
Yeah, and he's playing a little bit more. So. And as you alluded, they've got a great schedule this week, at Coors and then home against the Giants. And that's not nearly as imposing as it used to be. No, actually, it's not just it's another weird thing. They've got a 1-day doubleheader against the Giants, and then home against the Reds, which obviously is even better.
It must have been a first week of the season cancellation makeup.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh, God, I hate this year. I hate the schedule this year. I like this year. Don't get me wrong. I hate the schedule this year.
It's been weird, and that's a weird setup. But I think that any Brewers, Tyrone Taylor was dropped from the leagues. He's not playing a ton because Garrett Mitchell got called up. But then Taylor homered twice on Saturday, so kind of made his way back onto my list.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought was you play him for the first half of this week for the 5 games, then maybe see if he's playing a bunch. You can use him against Cincinnati, and then maybe drop him next week. I think it's a churn and burn with a couple of these Brewers guys. I want to ask you about the Reds. Spencer Steer was called up. Sounds like he's going to play regularly. What are your thoughts on this Reds prospect?
Better than he's better than Barrero, that's for sure. I'm interested. I mean, it took a while for him to get him out. He's been pretty good so far. He is a prospect. He's a guy who came over from. Today
was not good, but he was good the first day.
Yeah,
he was 0 for 8 today.
Yeah, I know. He was pretty good though when he got the call up, and Barrero was striking out like a ton.
Yeah, he is.
And so they might as well see what they have in Steer. He's the first of their acquired prospects to hit the majors. I mean, they're shortstop prospects. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him here. I mean, he's had a great year. 830 OPS at St. Paul, and then in Louisville, he actually had 23 games there, 842 there. For that, he was hitting well at AA Wichita in the Twin System. You can see he's had a great year.
Yep.
So why not throw him out there? I mean, I think Barrero, we've kind of seen what he can do, and it wasn't great.
Since we're talking Reds, any interest in today's hero with 2 home runs, TJ Friedl?
If you could play every game in Great American Ballpark, sure, but he can't. He had 3 homers going today. Now he's got 5. If you look at his minor league career, it's never been anything special. I know Vlad picked him up in a league and talked about how he's picking him up for the following week when the Reds have like 9 games or something like that.
They do have 9 games on the slate next week, so that's a sneaky little week ahead pickup. It felt like me that he was more of a stolen base guy than a home run guy. He's had a couple years with double-digit stolen bases, but I looked closer and he doesn't strike out much, so maybe he gets some average, but he just kind of felt like just another guy to me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I read it too.
Any interest in Spencer Torkelson getting called back up? It was so bad early on that I was not, but I know obviously it's a huge prospect. Sometimes the second time around works out better.
Yeah, didn't play today though. Unless when did that news of that call up come up though?
I thought it was earlier today, but it might have been in route today. So maybe that was it too.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up and see what he's done. I mean, he was so bad earlier that.
He's been bad in AAA too. He's at 229 in AAA.
Yeah, that's the thing is I thought he was striking out a lot still there too. So
he was at 26.5% in AAA. So I mean, not massive, but not great either.
So he didn't really earn this call up. It's not like he was breaking down the doors and all that. He hit 5 homers in AAA. Ugh. I know I'm not that interested in him.
I mean, he had 238 in AAA last year too, so it's not like he's slammed down any doors yet. He has a ton of power. Hit 30 home runs last year, but it came with some struggles and some strikeouts, and it was really bad the first time through. I just I think I need to see a little more. I was not. He's not someone that I could like stick in my lineup right now. And at this point of the year, I can't play somebody that I can't pick somebody up that I'm not ready to play right away.
I think he's kind of a Andrew Vaughn, that he's going to be much better in year 2.
All right,
you'll want to be around for that, and you're going to get him pretty cheap next year.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, there'll still be a little bit of hype just because of the name and all that, but I think you're right. I think that it's a price that'll be it'll be worth taking a shot on. Let's see any of the middling guys here. Any like Brendan Donovan or Eduardo Escobar with Beatty out for the year. Brendan Donovan gets 7 righties this week, and he hit second against a lot of righties. And you hit in front of Goldie and Arenado. That's not a bad little spot.
Yeah, it's just I have a hard time with the Cardinals because their playing time fluctuates a lot. Carlson sat a lot lately, and he's been a guy that I had a lot of places, so it's been really frustrating. Donovan was the it guy for a while, and then he was disappearing guy, and Paul DeYoung was the it guy for a while. Now he's disappearing again.
Even Nolan Gorman, who was the really it guy, has been sitting against some righties too. So it just you're right. They got to move guys in and out. It's tough aside from the core guys. And weirdly, Tommy Edman started out well and then was just dead for like 2 months. Now he homered like 3 or 4 times this week. So maybe he's getting back fired up. But they just kind of move pieces around. It's kind of hard to figure out playing time there.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Holy Grail, not dead yet guy.
It's a little before my time, Jeff, but I have seen that one.
All right. So it's not before your time then.
I've seen it, but it was not like, it was one of those ones that
it's not before your time.
When did it come out? Like 78, 79, somewhere in there? Ballpark?
Yeah, but come on. 80s is when I didn't see it when it first came out either. I was 8 at the time. I
could see your sense of humor being pretty developed by 8.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
You were probably pretty snarky when you were 8, I imagine.
Yeah, I might have been, but I grew into my snarkiness when I got older.
Michael Taylor in Kansas City is a guy that is always kind of there, but now he's hitting in the middle of the lineup. He's hit 5th, 1st, or 4th in every game like the last 10 days. Has 5 multi-hit games the last 6. Like suddenly we're talking about just getting someone that's hot. I mean, he had 3 hits again today. He's rolling right now.
Yeah, face the Tigers. Good for him.
Wow. It's tough to
I know, but you get my point
this
though.
Week too.
Yeah, so sure, go roll with it for a little bit. Yeah, but it's just such a Royals thing to be giving him key at bats.
Oh, it so very much is better than Ryan O'Hearn, but still not great.
Yeah, they couldn't find a way to trade him at the deadline. The teams always need a center fielder too, which is the funny thing. But yeah.
Did you go back in at all on Yasmani Grandal back off the IL this week? 68% rostered in the main event, 47% in the 12. Back from the injured list. Has been a absolute disaster year for Grandal. Obviously, the power is still there. He was 23-62 last year. Catcher's tough. Do you think that he can find something this last month here?
He might be able to. I didn't see him available. Moncada was available in the league, and he was we threw a buck at him just to see if it could happen. But Grandal, I didn't see him available. It's a shame because I have a league where what do you do with Christian Vasquez, who's playing 3 days a week?
Yep. I think you got to hold him unless you can find a catcher that is serviceable, and that's always hard to find.
Yeah.
I wouldn't drop him for Martin Montalado, but I'd rather have Carson Kelly than someone that's playing 3 times a week, I guess, if I'm in a ballpark it somewhere in there.
Right.
It's tough though. It's tough. I picked up Christian Bethancourt, and he's hitting really well, but same kind of thing. He plays 3 or 4 times a week because Tampa Bay, moves guys in and out a lot. It's frustrating. Right. He homered this week, which you get a homer from a catcher in a week. That's a good week for a catcher, but it's just you wish you'd play maybe a game or 2 more a week.
Exactly. There were those catchers that did have that impact this year. I mean, MJ Melendez is now playing the outfield, but you get him at catcher when that's been beautiful. There's a couple others here and there, but yeah, it's tough when you just got that dead space. Yeah,
obviously Dalton Varsho was drafted for that reason, and obviously he just plays a ton because he doesn't catch all the time, which is huge. Is he has 31 games to catcher, so he'll be a catcher again next year.
Yeah.
Let's get into the pitching side, but first a note from our sponsors from Caesars. The weather is heating up, and so are the promotions at Caesars Sportsbook. Today, anyone who's at least 21 years old and a licensed Caesars Sportsbook stake can create a new account and redeem the Caesars Sportsbook promo code of ROTO15. That's ROTO15. The promo code gives new users a risk-free first bet up to $1,500. Visit Caesars.com/sportsbook or download the Caesars Sportsbook app today. Don't forget to use the promo code ROTO15 when you sign up. Jeff, I had trouble with starting pitching this week. My Vegas main, I need starting pitching badly. I've lost some guys. I need strikeouts. I found it meager. So I'm going to start with you. What'd you do in starting pitchers this week? Is there anybody that you really, really liked or found yourself trying to get?
No, not really. But again, that hasn't been our priority. I mean, we tempted the gods we taunted the starting pitching gods.
The gods struck me down because I had
me too.
Yeah, we had Gonselin like 4 hours after we did the podcast to get hurt.
Gonselin, Sonny Gray. I mean, that hurt. But we still have Corey Kluber on our bench pitching a gem against the Yankees yesterday. So still had one more starting pitcher to go. And like I said before, we're going 5-4 this week.
Nice.
I think Eric Lauer will be our bench because he's got a Coors Field start.
Who are the four? Kennedy, Holmes.
Kennedy, Holmes, Barlow, and now we picked up the great Jimmy Herget.
Oh, I like that. I think he's the guy there. He's got like 3 saves in a row for them. I think he's the guy. We could have
picked up him or Schreiber in Boston. Schreiber got a save today, so
I leaned to Schreiber, but I had them really close, and I actually picked up Schreiber and dropped Nick Martinez, even though he's had 4 saves in a row. I like Schreiber more. I like Schreiber and Herget more as a pitcher, so I just kind of leaned that way. I thought they were all kind of in the same bucket. So I figured I really like Schreiber and Herget both as pitchers. They've both been really good, both good K to walk ratios, good ratios, and that matters in terms of like getting some saves and keeping the job. I think both of them can run with it in September.
Yeah. So starting pitching wise, we'll still have Urias. We'll still have Manoah. We'll definitely have Wainwright and Michaelis active. Then we have to decide for the last starting pitcher spot, do we use like Lauer or Kluber? Or is Sonny Gray going to make his next start? Obviously, that's the other one we got to consider.
He's supposed to throw a bullpen on Monday afternoon, and then decide if he's going to pitch in Yankee Stadium or not.
Bench.
Yankee Stadium has always been great for Sonny Gray, though. I don't know what your problem is.
I mean, the Yankees are really struggling
really bad. But oh my god, he must just see ghosts and hear noises in that place. I mean, it's got to be a house. Yeah, house of horrors in that place, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost certainly going to be Kluber that gets that start for us.
That's a good strategy note, though. Are you guys really, really good in Ks and wins to be able to do the 5-4? Or are you just so bad in saves? That's your.
Oh no, wins we got a 13 win lead on second place in our league.
That is even
but I got to think about the overall for that. Yeah. But I'm not going to go anything, and that's where we can gain points in the overall as saves. We could gain so many points there, but.
And that's the thing; those are clumped up too. Like you get a 5 or 6 save week, you move up a bunch.
Yeah, exactly. But it got to have more than 3 RBIs in a given day. Kluber is at Yankee Stadium too, so yeah. At least he has recent success against them, but
they've been so bad. But it's coming at some point, right?
Hate seeing a guy face the same team twice in a row.
Yeah,
that's also not great. Some pitchers can overcome that, and he's a veteran, so maybe he can, but I am worried about that.
It's weird though. You look at that lineup, and aside from Stanton and maybe LeMahieu, if there's anybody you're like, oh well, he just needs to get hot and they're fine. I don't think Donaldson or Aaron Hicks is getting hot anytime soon. I don't think Gleyber Torres is getting hot anytime soon. It's I'd start Peraza and Barrera because I think that's your best shot at maybe getting warm. But a lot of these guys are ones that I'm not expecting them just to turn and flip the switch and turn it on.
I just don't understand. I guess some of these other guys were cromulent earlier that aren't now.
LeMahieu was really good. He was
Stanton was really good before he got hurt.
Stanton was good too, and LeMahieu has been horrible for 2 weeks. He's not getting on base for Judge, and they're having Judge hit leadoff now. It's just it's messy. I imagine they'll figure it out, but we probably said that 3 weeks ago, and it hasn't happened.
Aaron Boone got kicked out again today. He's probably just he's probably going crazy.
It was a bad call. I would have been kicked out for that one too.
Yeah, of course.
It was a catcher's interference that was not catcher's interference. I think he was just so over it anyway, and he was walking away too, and I think he did let one more F-bomb go, and they kicked him out, and it was He's got 7. He's got 7 of them. He's got a temper for sure.
Yeah, he does. Well, and you would too if you had to coach Josh Donaldson every day.
I used to so like Josh Donaldson. He's just made it impossible now.
Yeah, the whole sequence was Springs. You just got Cade, and you're taunting him about not throwing more fastballs.
Springs is great. He's like, I just threw you 3. What do you want?
Yeah, just moron. I don't understand. I just don't.
And then we had the benches cleared for him today, and it's just I wonder if his teammates hate him too. They must, right?
I think so.
I'm sure Judge is just probably just oh my god, this guy again. What are we doing?
Yeah. Let's go on out here again.
So some starters that got called up this week. Cody Morris in Cleveland did not pitch well. Ken Waldichuk with the A's, one of the guys they acquired at the trade deadline, didn't pitch great, but did have 6 strikeouts in 4 2/3. He gets the Braves this week, so kind of tempered my interest a little bit. But these guys were both good in the minors. Both can strike people out. Did you have interest in either one of those guys?
In theory, yeah, Waldichuk a little bit, especially because it's in Oakland, at least. Yep. Cleveland because they know pitching. And I think Plesac's out for a while, so this is more than just like a spot start too.
Speaking of dumbasses,
yes, he Plesac versus inanimate objects. First of all, fighting the wall and the wall won. Now the ground. Turns out the ground also doesn't give.
It's insane. It's just. Yeah, I looked at Waldichuk too, and I was like, oh, well, he's pitching Wednesday, so that means he gets 2 starts next week at Texas, at Houston. And I was like, ugh. So anybody but at Houston, the second one, I kind of would have been excited. I probably would throw it anyway for the strikeouts, but it's always a scary start.
Cody Morris was a big-time prospect heading into the season, had shoulder problems. He's only thrown, 17 innings all season. Well, I guess he had 6 innings in rookie ball too, but 15 innings in AAA before the call-up. But in those 15 innings, he had 30 strikeouts.
Yeah. You look up, like 51.7 is a strikeout rate. Really jumps off the FanGraphs page pretty good.
Yeah. Now, he only made it through 2 innings in his first start against the Mariners. Gets the Royals, though, this week, and presumably 2 starts the following week, first of which is against the Angels, second against the Twins. That's pretty good. I think, I should have been a little bit more aggressive on Morris if I needed another starter.
I think your point about the innings is the key. Like if he's going to throw 2 or 3 innings, you just can't work it really. I mean, he gets 5 strikeouts, but that's still just really hard to throw. Right.
But so you're kind of counting by the time he gets the 2-step and that he can go the 5 innings apiece in those, that you're not counting on much this outing.
A name I sort of like this week is Jonathan Heasley in Kansas City, mostly because he faces Detroit.
Yep.
And the last 4 starts have been pretty good. He's going to have 2, 3, 0, and 2 runs. One of those was under 5 innings. But the other one, he threw 7 innings this week against Detroit. Facing the same team again. I know we're a little bit worried about that, but he had 7 strikeouts and started against the Padres, where he threw 5 innings. There was enough here that I was like, I think that facing Detroit makes him a pickup in a 15-teamer.
Yeah, we did pick him up in Vegas, Maine.
Nice.
So that was we have 2 $1 stinky pickups in that league and missed out on all of our targets. So
who was the other one?
Elvis Andrews. Moving on.
Hey, leading off.
Shu loves those guys.
Leading off for a team in the playoff race.
Yeah, but Shu loves go. It's like it's Jason Hayward all over again. He's on my he's like the next to go on my no-fly list right after Hayward and Chris Archer, who he always seems. I'm like, nope, no more of those. I don't want to see those. Chris Archer is got this stupid long consecutive non-quality start streak. It's crazy.
The opposite, the Oppo Framber Valdez.
Yeah, he's pretty much.
He's 22 in a row. That's
I think Matthew Pulio from Roto World was tweeting that out. Just he's perfectly imperfect. It's just I don't want him. I don't want him anywhere near my roster. But Heasley, maybe got him for this 1 start. We'll use him, then we'll see what happens. Probably drop him after that.
It was meager that I was just looking for matchups. I was looking for Heasley. Michael Mayers gets Detroit also, so I think that's mildly interesting. He strikes out a little bit for the Angels. He pitches against the Tigers, but at this point, I'm just looking for matchups.
Yep, definitely. Isaac asks, do you drop Steele to make room for Florida? Yeah, easily. I like Justin Steele, but you're getting 2 starts from Flaherty this week. I think you do it.
I wish I had who the other options might be because Steele's been really good striking guys
better
out
than
lately.
I thought. Yeah,
he's been. He just didn't pitch this week. I think he was on.
But he's got the back issue though.
Yeah, that's and then he's on bereavement and then the back. But you look at the strikeouts. He has 3 games of 9+ strikeouts last 5 starts. It's
126 Ks on 119 innings. It's not as easy as I thought it was, but I still do
it. Last 5 outings, given up 3 runs total.
Okay.
I'd like to have another option rather than Steele, but obviously if it has to be for Flaherty, you got to do it. But I wish I had another option, but
sure.
I think he's been pretty good. Other name in Oakland, Adrian Martinez. I don't know much about this guy. I just know his last 2 starts have been really good. And I think one was against the Yankees and one was against the Orioles. So both, I know we talked about the Yankees aren't very good right now, but he gave up 1 run, had 6 strikeouts against New York, and then pitched well today, 6 innings, no earned runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts against the Orioles. And then I went and looked at his minor league numbers, and they're just revoltingly bad.
They play in Vegas. And I think that's part of it. I mean, that's a tough ballpark to pitch in.
I don't know how he explained last year AAA too then, but it's just
El Paso is also a launching pad. The
I guess
PCL is not a good place to put. I mean, you look at his AA stats; they're pretty darn good, actually.
But like I watched the game against the Yankees, and he actually like looked good. He was throwing a slider that was pretty nasty, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is. And I looked at his minor league stats last week. I'm like, oh, I'm not picking that up. And then another good game against the Orioles this week, and pitches in a good park. I think that if in a 15 team or if you need arms, he's on a team that doesn't have a lot of competition for spots. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
He's home against the White Sox, who knows if Luis Robert and Eloy will be playing by that point, but could be an okay matchup.
Yeah, I think so.
The only other thing I would say, Kyle Bradish in Baltimore, if he's still available in your league, this dude's been really good for a while.
We talked about him last week.
We talked about him last week. He's still 18% rostered in 12-teamers. I think he's a 12-team pitcher right now. He has been really, really good. He's pitched 7 and 8 innings the last 2 starts, and he's got 7 starts in a row, allowing 3 runs or fewer. Like he should not. If he's in a 12-teamer, I'd pick him up right now.
Yeah, and the thing is, because his overall number, people are in a hurry sometimes in 12-teamers, and they see 517, 147, and they don't realize the recent run.
It's only getting worse, Jeff. This is the last Sunday FAAB without football for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
Who do the Bengals play week 1?
Stillers.
Oh, that's a big opening game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
In Cincy or in Pittsburgh?
In Cincy.
All right. You win the AFC. You deserve a first week home game.
I think so.
Niners are at the Bears. That should be good, but you always worry about 10 a.m. road games as a West Coast team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wicked tough Survivor week.
It's usually there's like one game, like, I can just go there. There's not a game this week in Survivor. I'm like, I'll just go with that one.
There are 10 home favorites this week. I mean, road favorites this week.
Oh my God, 10?
Wow. 10 road favorites this week.
Damn.
So, like, many of them are like the Niners-Bears game.
And the crazy thing is that the Super Bowl champions are at home and an underdog.
Yeah, I know that part's crazy, especially when I understand it's the Bills, but the Bills are missing Tre'Davious White too. I was surprised at that one.
Relief pitchers. You and I talked a little bit. We talked about John Schreiber and Jimmy Herget. I actually like both of them as pitchers, and I think they both. Tanner Houck went on the IL for the Red Sox. I know that Garrett Whitlock's still there, but I kind of feel like he's more of a Swiss Army knife kind of guy, kind of throwing him in all spots. Did you look at Josh Hader all this week, coming off the 1 save? Was he available in any of your leagues?
He was available in one of my onlines, and I didn't have the courage to go aggressively on him.
I did not either, which made no sense because I didn't drop him in a league either. So I'm just kind of in a holding pattern with him. Yep. I actually didn't think he looked that good in his save. I know he got the job done. I wasn't really impressed by it.
We talked about how he got helped.
Luis Gonzalez had a horrible at bat. He was down. He was up in the count 3-1. And like, dude, you're Luis Gonzalez. You're lefty on lefty. Just make him throw a strike. And it was not a strike. And he swung. He fouled it off. It's just a horrible at bat. And he just helped him out so much.
I got to think when you're facing a guy like that, it's pretty intimidating. That it's just one of those where you're a big, tall lefty that throws hard, and you're sitting there as a lefty. It's got to be tough. Anytime
I just think 3-1's a take.
It probably is, especially because you're a lefty. Maybe so.
You're a lefty. It's a 9th inning. He's all over the place. You're Luis Gonzalez. You're not Barry Bonds. Mm-hmm. I just think it's a take no matter what.
Probably right.
Maybe I'm old and grumpy, but I think it's a take.
That both things can be true.
That is also true. What about some spots where maybe the incumbent, I use incumbent lightly, is struggling? Jonathan Hernandez got lit up by the Red Sox on Friday night. Jose Leclerc, 7% rostered in the main event, was behind him. I just call him Giovanni Soto. Gregory Soto in Detroit, really struggling too. And Joe Jimenez, I have a blast and a pass, have been really good most of the year. Do you think either of them are good spec plays? Say you're in a deeper league, you need to try and find some saves. Do you like either one of those guys? Joe Jimenez has a 34% strikeout rate with a walk rate under 6% on the season.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It's just how many games are the Tigers going to win? Same thing with the Rangers, actually. Yeah. True. Rangers have a new manager, so new interim manager. So that'll be kind of tricky. I mean, they have a new GM too. But
that's right. They fired what's his name, John something or other.
Yeah, they John Daniels, right? After like a day after he fired the manager, then they fired the GM. Like, okay, what's going on here? Sidebar aside, Yeah, Soto, this is what we kind of expected him all season long.
Right.
He was so good early on, but this is like the Soto that the reason why he was the last closer drafted, basically.
Yep. I mean, he anybody who took him, it's worked out. He's got 24 saves.
Yeah.
But this last stretch of like 10 outings has been really, really sketchy.
The only place I have him, he's sitting on my bench.
Yeah. So I mean, it depends what you need. But if you need a spec play, I think I'd go Leclerc over Hernandez because I think maybe the path to saves is a little clearer for him to maybe get there quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Last guy I want to ask about in closers, do you have any concerns with the Braves doing anything with Kenley Jansen? It's been rough lately. They seem pretty loyal to him, but you've got an absolute all-star stud sitting behind him in Raisel Iglesias. Do you think the seat is warm for Jansen all at this point?
I mean, it could be. Yeah. I didn't get to catch that other outing where he blew it. Was it a command issue or was he just getting hit?
Yeah, the one yesterday was weird. He actually loaded the bases, command issue, and then he gave up a sac fly. And there was some kind of delay in the game. I forget what it was, and they took him out. I don't know if it was a replay or I forget what happened, but they took him and they brought Minter in, who then ended up getting the last out and then got the win. So it was kind of, if you had Kenley, that was really rough. But
yeah, it's given up runs in 3 of his last 4 outings.
Multiple runs in 2 of those, 4 walks those last outings.
4 walks, 1 strikeout.
It's funny because I searched Kenley Jansen on Twitter to see if there's any quotes or thing from anybody. Braves fans are pretty pissed off about him. They're like, I can't believe they keep putting him in there. Snitker sucks. Like, it's just a lot of vitriol about Kenley. I was kind of surprised. I didn't know that they were that over Kenley. He's been pretty good most of the year, but it seems like it's a little bit rough at the moment.
Dodger fans were that way with him too a little bit because of he's some playoff struggles and all that. I just think it's kind of the nature of the beast. Unless your name's Mariano, or you're just on such an utter roll. I mean, it's all. You're as good as your last chance. I mean, the thing is, we mentioned those 4 outings. He's had 2 saves and 2 blown saves in those 4 outings. I mean, there's no in between.
Not everybody can be Billy Koch, Jeff.
No, not clearly not.
Billy Koch had 11 wins in 2002. That one always fires me up. It's that dude had more blown saves and then getting the win than I've ever seen. 11 wins and 44 saves that year.
I mean, clearly he didn't have the Tampa scorekeeper.
Is that a bonkers year? Is that a bonkers year though? 11 wins, 44, and he threw 93 innings that year.
That is bonkers. It's really bonkers.
Yeah. So that I think Schreiber and Herget are kind of the 2 guys there. It'll be it's going to be tough. We're going to have so many random names get saves over this last month. It's going to be tough to find. But you can find that team that wants to try someone out. It does work. I think the Angels are there with Herget right now. They get him the last 3 save ops, I believe, and he's converted all of them. He's been a good pitcher all year. So I like that pickup you guys made.
Yeah. Let's hope it works out. And now we just need to get some save chances. That's the tricky part.
It is frustrating. And you know what's crazy is I feel like every time Ryan Presley goes on the IL, the Astros get a save up every single night.
Right? They had that stretch.
Every time I look up, they win 5-3. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. It's Rafael Montero. It's so maddening. It was so let's get into some news and notes. There are a lot of injuries. There's a lot of injuries of big name guys. Nick Castellanos, first of all, it's been a rough year for him, but he went in the IL with a oblique injury. I assume you just consider him a drop at the moment. It's probably not worth holding on to him at the moment, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. Out for maybe like a week and a half or 2 weeks, but those obliques, like they just tend to linger, and I don't think you can hold on to that one.
No, that's a real bummer.
We mentioned Tyler Mallie back on the IL. He came back, made it 2 innings before the shoulder inflammation came back. I think he's a full drop. I'd be surprised if he pitched again this year, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough too. I mean, if you're in an AL only league and you got Mallie was your big acquisition, I mean, that hurts a lot. Same thing. I mean, I just traded for Castellanos in the score sheet league on Thursday. And of course he gets hurt over the weekend there. I mean, it's bad for the Phillies. They just get Harper back. They're scrapping for a playoff spot. I mean, they're going to get it, I think, but they got to be all about like kind of making sure they're ready for that playoff game now.
Series. They're in that mix though. They can't be that. I'm looking here. They're only 2.5 ahead of the Brewers, so it's not.
Yeah,
still.
We talked about the Brewers having a big week coming up here too. Yeah. Good schedule.
Yeah, you're right. Throw a 6-2 out this week. They're right back in it.
Yeah, Phillies actually they've lost 3 in a row. What am I talking about? I mean, that's tough. I mean, they struggled in Arizona too.
Yeah, it should be fun. There's 3 teams for 2 spots in the NL with the Padres, Phillies, and Brewers, and there's 4 teams for 3 spots in the AL with the Mariners, Rays, Jays, and Orioles. It's the Mariners won 7 games in a row, Jeff. They're on fire.
Yeah, they are. Again,
I hope they make it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, right now they're in pretty good shape. Just the AL Central is just like a collective implosion. Nobody wants to win that. The Guardians have lost 5 in a row.
Yep.
I mean, they've been facing the Mariners, obviously. They're tied with the Twins, though, because the Twins are like, okay, they won 6 out of 10, only because they were facing the White Sox, who, are just having a miserable homestand again.
The Orioles will be leading the Central by 2.5 games.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've been like they head-to-head against the White Sox. They did really well. And this is the White Sox. This is the team everybody expected to do well. Now, I hope Tony La Russa is okay health-wise, but he's been a disaster as a manager. This is a team that's just underachieved in just a big way. We talked about Grandal and Moncada. I mean, Lance Lynn's been tough at times. Giolito's been a big disappointment. What are you doing with Giolito next year?
I have no idea, because this year I was like, it's back. I'm all in. I don't know. It's gonna be a deep dive guy. And you mentioned those guys. Eloy's got 9 home runs and 33 RBIs. Like, that's been a disaster too.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that one there, and because he's an on and off. He missed so much time. I benched him this week and he homered on Saturday, because he was out of the lineup on Friday. I mean, granted, I think that was his only hit of the 3 days. So, it still missed it because, the rest of the team is so slumping right now. Dude, it's just good teams, and they're not hit. Good fantasy teams aren't hitting are just so frustrating.
Yeah, that was me the last couple of weeks with when it comes around, it's a lot of fun. But man, when you look up and it's like 6 for 34, it's so brutal. You mentioned Jorge Polanco on the IL with left knee inflammation. Andrew Benintendi, that news got worse and worse by the minute today. He went on the IL with wrist inflammation. That came out later today, right before we went going. He's actually having surgery on his hamate bone, so he's done for the year. It's a big loss for the Yankees. That was another bat that they traded for and could have used, and that's just another loss there.
I mean, you talk about it, results-oriented disaster trade deadline review.
Jordan Montgomery, as of today, he had 5 wins. The Yankees starter since the deadline had 4. Montas got one today, so now they tied him back up.
Montas, I mean, he's had 2 good starts and like 3 disaster starts. Mm-hmm. Obviously, and then they've had all these other injuries. Nestor's on the IL right now. I think that's the thing about the Yankees. We talked, about how their hitting's been so disappointing. Well, it's not like, but the thing is, their pitching was carrying a lot of the work for them. Their starting pitching was amazing. Their bullpen, they were getting great work, obviously, out of Holmes. They lost Michael King. At least Loaiza gets back. Loaiza looked good today, by the way. 2 innings. He's not striking guys out this year since coming back, but since coming back, he's been a lot better. He might get, I could see him getting a save chance soon.
I was kind of waiting for that too. I think that that might happen at some point too, but you're right. Cause they used to get to the 6th inning, just go King for 2 innings and home for 1. And the game was over. It's just not, obviously that's not the case. So it's definitely rough there. Wilson Contreras missed 4 straight games with an ankle injury. So that is one that you definitely got to check out. That's a tough one. Cause do you replace that? It's hard to pick up a catcher. I think you probably just have to ride with him and hope he plays and it doesn't go on the IL.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned Christian Yelich missed Friday to Sunday with his neck injury. Another one you got to check on. Obviously, they are 3 at Coors this week, so you really, really hope that he comes around and is okay. Right. Wander Franco, we talked about him a couple weeks ago. He was back in rehab, and then he was off his rehab, and now he's back. He had 2 hits today for the Durham Bulls. Sounds like he's going to be about a week in rehab, be back with the Rays if everything goes right by next Monday. So that is one that if he happened to get dropped in your league, he was available in a couple of mine this week. I did not get him, but I think that he's someone that you definitely want to grab as soon as you can.
Yeah, the 2 guys I'm watching are Wander Franco and Vinny P. 2 guys are rehabs this week. We picked up Franco, remember, to replace Tatis because we didn't learn from our stashing lesson at all.
Did you hold him?
We've held him.
All right.
We're pretty loyal actually on that, and probably overly so. I only imagine what happened if we would have dumped Eloy way back when.
That would have been an impossible drop, I think.
It was. It would have been, but at the same time, I'm still looking for, no guarantee we would have replaced him with anybody good for that matter too. But man, I would have eased so much of just a headache there.
Some good news on a couple of pitchers that did go on the IL. Shane McClanahan paid catch today. Expect to be activated when he's first eligible, September 12th. Obviously, with pitchers, you never know, but that's pretty good news. When he looked really troubled in the bullpen, he was like almost in tears when his shoulder was hurting. So that's I thought there was something really bad with him, and it turns out it's everything's okay. And then Tony Gonselin threw in the outfield for the first time on Saturdays. MRI results were good. They came back. They think he might be able to come back in the 15 days. Also, did you hold Gonselin, I assume, with that news?
I did. I mean, we've been riding that roller coaster.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's like all in 1 week. Like, he's not ready to throw it. Oh, yes, he's throwing the outfield again. Yeah.
He went from 2 starts this week when we started the week to probably done for the year. Hasn't picked up a ball yet. And then MRI was good. So you're right. It was like I was hold, then throw, then put on the bench, then drop, and then back to hold. So it's a lot of emotions in 1 week.
Yeah.
Someone asked in the chat, Jeff, would you drop Eloy Jimenez for Riley Green?
I don't think Riley Green's been all that good either, right?
I
think I like the idea of Riley Green better than the actual performance.
Yeah, Riley Green has 5 homers and 1 steal, and he's hitting 256.
So no.
I have to hold. I got to hold on to Eloy. I think that if you've held him this long, I think you have to hope for a hot month, and that's what you're going for.
Yeah, because the idea is that at least Green might get you stolen bases, but he's had 1. He's been caught 4 times.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got a green light. He's got a red light right now. He does not have that. Yeah, I mean, I hold Eloy.
Yeah, I mean, Eloy's a guy that you could get really hot for a month and gain you 3 points in home runs, a bunch of points in RBIs. I think you got it. You got to hold it. You've done it this long. We talked about Ryan Presley earlier. Had a bullpen session on Saturday. Expect to be activated on Tuesday. The Astros do play Monday, Jeff. If you happen to have Ryan Presley maybe in a main event, let's say asking for someone I know, do you use him this week?
Yes, I think I do.
I think I do too. He's just so good and the injury was so minor. It sounded like if they weren't leading the division by 100 games, they probably wouldn't have put him on the IL. So I think I'm going to use it also. John Birdie missed the whole series this weekend with a sore right hip. It's too bad. He had a home run and a stolen base in the game, and then he got hurt. But I don't know. That's one that you just got to hope he's in the lineup. You need stolen bases. Obviously an important guy, but he's a hole at RBIs. He has 2 RBIs this month, which is tough to play.
Yeah, I imagine it would be. Frankly, I'm wishing that he has a long-held desire to convert to pitching and starts exercising that this year because I don't have him anywhere.
Fair enough.
I'm not that way. I'm not wishing any ill. I'm just wishing he advances his career aspirations.
The next Shohei Ohtani, but just pitching only.
Yeah, something like that.
Ramon Laureano played in his 3rd rehab game on Sunday. Sounds like he's going to join the A's on Tuesday. So if you've held on to Ramon, it's a good week to get him back in with 6 games this week. Luis Robert, we mentioned him earlier, he had reinstated from the paternity list. He's going to start on Monday, so they say.
Yeah, he's high on that list of frustrating players to roster this year.
Ke'Bryan Hayes is high on that list too. He missed the weekend with left shoulder discomfort. I finally got over Ke'Bryan Hayes, Jeff. I dropped him in an online this week. He's at 242 with 6 home runs.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, another one of those. I like the idea of the guy than the actual guy.
He does have 14 steals, so it's provided some value there. But it's he's got 6 home runs and 36 RBIs and 466 plate appearances. That is a big hole if you need home runs and RBIs. Good news on Yordan Alvarez returned to the lineup on Sunday. He's been really bad for a month, so not only been injured but been bad. He did have 2 RBIs late in the game today, so maybe it's coming around. But he's someone that I just think if he's playing, you got to play him and just hope he figures it out and hope the hand is something he can play through.
Yeah, that's something I've been doing. Vegas, Maine, we're in that boat right now, and it's tough. Like we had, on Friday. Okay, he's active. He's looks like he's going to come back. All right, we'll get him going. Nope. I
didn't have somebody to put in for him once he got scratched too. And all my guys had already started. So I did get the 2 RBIs today, but it was not good to have a guy like that sitting Friday, Saturday.
Right.
Brandon Drury missed the weekend. It sounded like he had a head contusion, but I was watching the Sunday Night Baseball game and it sounded like Bob Melvin is worried that he might have a concussion. So I'm a little bit worried about that one.
Well, you saw how that happened, right?
I did not.
Okay, he got hit by a pitch on the flap of the helmet and it broke the flap.
Oh, geez.
I mean, yeah, he stayed in the game ever so briefly, and they pulled him, and they were worried about that. Yeah, so I would definitely think that's a concussion.
Melvin did not sound optimistic about that. Didn't sound a little worried about it. So that's someone that make sure you have a backup for Drury this week. It's tough because he plays so many positions. He's such a nice. What did you just throw that at?
A cat. She's getting into a bag. Sorry.
Was that a pen? What was that?
Yeah, it was, and she's just a very annoying cat right now. I got to throw it again too.
Just don't hit the cat. You'll get in trouble if you hit the cat.
I'm just throwing kind of close. If she does it, if she goes into again, she knows she's being a brat. So
Last guy I want to ask you about before we get out of here, Jeff. We kind of talked about him a little bit earlier, but Michael Harris II has been unbelievably good for the Braves. 15 home runs, 16 stolen bases, hitting 303. Has not slowed down either. In August, since August 1st, he's at 349, 6 home runs, 5 steals. Dude is awesome. Where does Michael Harris go in drafts next year?
On my team.
Yeah,
but
no doubt,
besides that, I'm glad
you guys pick him up anywhere.
Yeah, I might have. And Scarf also, which is doing pretty well.
Nice.
I mean, man, 15 and 16 right now, and he's hitting for average still. He's
still
striking out a lot.
In half a season, he's played 89 games.
Yeah. It's crazy. The only mark against him is the strikeout rate. The K percentage is like 25%, but that's down from where it was earlier in the year. He's starting to adjust to breaking pitches better. He's batting a little higher in the order now.
Was not a strikeout guy in the minors either, so I think that's like a first time through. He's under 20% the last 2 years in the minors. Like, how good is this guy, and how bad is your aim?
Oh, I'm buzzing the tower. I'm not hitting her, like you said.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No.
No. He has one game since August 16th where he doesn't have a hit.
Yeah, it's
every night. And you're right. He's starting to hit 6th. He hit second once this week. But the problem was it was 8th and 9th, and now it's 6th. I tell you what, he's been unbelievably good.
He had one game second, like you said, and I don't want to jinx it because he's just so good. And when the rest of my roster is not hitting and he's been like especially valuable to have. And
you look at 45% hard hit rate, 11.5% barrel rate, like it's all supported. I don't know. What's he, like a 3rd round pick next year? Is that too high? I don't know. Is that too high? Is that too crazy?
You get partisans like me, and no, it's not. But I mean, if he projects to be a 2020 guy with average, I mean,
projects to be a 2020 guy by the end of this year.
Yeah. It's going to be very hard. I got to pull up Ryan Roof's column because he was in Rob DiPietro's too early draft champions, 7-round draft champions. And I want to see where Harris went because it's probably would be higher now actually than it would be even then. But
that was like 10 days ago, maybe.
Yeah. Closer encounters. It was, Ryan wrote the article on August 23rd. So it was before that even. Let's see if I can squint and see the grid properly here to see that there. But it was Michael Harris went in the. Where'd he go? No, is that Harris or is that Marte? I can't even read.
I see Michael Harris at the start of the 4th round pick.
Oh, there he is. Yeah,
pick 40
by Ryan himself.
By Ryan, yeah. Yes. That's pick 48. It looks like about the 12th outfielder or so.
Yeah. I need to be this on a bigger monitor, or at least have my reading glasses or something.
The pick after Fernando Tatis, funny enough.
Yeah, Harris. So I'll ask you that question: Harris or Tatis?
I always go with the guy that's playing a full season.
Yeah, I think so too.
Tatis is unbelievable, but it'll be a full year not playing, and he's going to miss the first month.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have a hard time not taking Michael Harris over him. I'm just not one that usually takes the guy that's missing the first month of the season.
I'm with you on that. The guy that went immediately after him is Marcus Simeon. You want to talk about a guy who's had 2 different stories to this season?
He was so bad early on, and the last 2 months, he's been unbelievably good.
Yeah,
he's 20. He's 21-20 right now.
Yeah, he's really good. He and Seager are not the problem there. That's for sure.
No, the problem is they spent all the money on those guys. They have nobody around them. Although Nathaniel Lowe has hit 400 since August 1st with 8 home runs in 22. He's been I never thought that he would be the best Lowe of this season, but better than Josh, better than Brandon. He's been the best one so far.
Yeah. Lowe, Lau, any variant thereof.
I was going with the same spelling, so I'm throwing the same bucket.
Adolis Garcia has been good on that team too. They just don't have any pitching.
Young guys are going to be fun in drafts this year. Both Bobby Witt and Julio Rodriguez are both going in the first round, right?
Yeah, I think so. Julio for sure. I think we've covered that ground pretty thoroughly.
Bobby Witt's 2026 right now.
I know. He's good. He's just, he's not. That's the thing is, they both are rookie of the year quality players. Just they happen to be in the same league.
Yeah, Julio wins it, right?
Julio wins it, I'm pretty sure. But 26-30 too. It's not just 26 stolen bases, but very successful rate. Witt does strike out a bunch. That is still his issue.
Strikes out less than Julio.
I guess. Yeah, that's a good point.
He's only 22%. That's not that bad these days.
Yeah, I guess he just doesn't walk that much. 4.5.
Yeah, he does not walk that much. His hard hit rate's not huge either, but man, he's 20-26. Julio's 22-23. Julio's hitting 20 points higher. They're a lot closer than the the hype would lead you believe on those two guys. Because
I buy that argument.
Yeah, they're both awesome, and but they're closer than anybody thinks right now.
Yeah, that's true.
I took Witt in the third round of my main event. That's doing well, and I had a lot of regret early on because I took him over Emmanuel Clase, who then went in the turn before I could take him again. But I can't really complain when a guy's at 20. I know the average is low, but 20 home runs, 26 stolen bases. It's hard to really complain too much about that. He's been great.
Honestly, and he's running a lot more now than Julio is because we're all front loader. The Mariners have kind of shut down that running game on their own.
Hard to blame them too much for that. I mean, he had the one injury and then probably just like, go ahead and hit bombs for a while.
Exactly.
Game is in a good place though. That's two rookies that are gonna be in the first round next year, and that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We always do appreciate it. If you happen to watch us live, thanks for that. If you asked a question, thanks for that. Hopefully we got to all those. If you're listening to us on the audio version, we appreciate that too. If you want to follow Jeff on Twitter, he's at Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Jenstad. We'll answer some questions there, chat baseball with you there. I will try after about 1:00 next Sunday. I promise to be all baseball, but between 10 and 1, might be a little bit of football in there. I apologize for that. As Trey Lance is hitting Brandon Ayuk for 60-yard touchdowns, there might be some comments.
There might be. I make no apologies. I will be doing both.
Give me 30 seconds on how Trey Lance season's going to be.
Bumpy at first, better later.
All right.
I picked him up twice this week because I wasn't going to be the guy that pushes him over like Brady or Russell Wilson and all that, but in a couple of leagues he fell, and I was willing to take him then.
There's a lot of people that are worried once they kept Jimmy. I definitely saw him falling in leagues.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any point where he gets benched for performance?
I mean, there's a non-zero chance of that.
Do you think
it has to be?
It's definitely a non-zero chance.
If he plays like he did against Arizona his first start, he will get benched.
Yeah. I
don't think he will. I think he'll be better than that eventually.
The leash is going to be exceptionally long. I think he's going to have to really suck to get benched.
I mean, Jimmy G wasn't even like doing meetings. I mean,
he didn't have a playbook till like 3 days ago.
Yeah, exactly.
By his choice. The whole thing is very strange. But, $6.5 million backup for someone like that is probably a smart play if there's not the weird stuff in there. But there is just a lot of weird stuff now. It's I don't know. I've gone from being excited about the season to now just being I'm going to be annoyed because every time they have a 3 and out, there's going to be people on Twitter looking for a bet. It's going to be
you look for reasons to be annoyed though.
Oh, I do. I find reasons aplenty. But
yeah.
Usually during games, I'm not on Twitter very much, but like the media stuff's going to be tiring after game. It's going to be rough.
It's not hard to find reasons though, too, in defense of you.
Yeah. And the key to football Sunday is to stay off Twitter anyway, because there's going to be the first quarter of the first game. Every time someone scores a touchdown, I told you guys to draft him in the 6th. It's going to be awful.
Oh, yes. We know too many people like that, too.
First quarter, first week Twitter is a rough place to be.
First 8-yard run, it's going to be like that.
Oh, Damian Pierce has crazy burst. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough. A lot of scouts out there. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We do appreciate that. Hopefully everybody has a good fantasy baseball week. We're back at you next Sunday night. Hopefully we'll have a couple of football wins and a good baseball week to talk about. So we look forward to that. Thanks everybody again. We'll be back at you next Sunday. Take care.